All right, we are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. It's an important topic this morning on human trafficking. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Kelly Luskin's with us from the state and is part of the ongoing effort that Tennessee is trying to do to educate and get the word out. How many folks are there? Do you guys go to schools, or technically, in terms of getting the word out, what are you doing?
The biggest thing that we're trying to do right now is we are participating in a red sand project.
Okay.
And what that is actually it's an art installation of trying to bring awareness to the issue, where you pour red sand between the cracks of the sidewalks. And that kind of represents these people that are lost between the cracks. That's
kind of cool. Wait, you mean literally? Yeah, how does it work?
It's the week of July 29th to August 3rd.
Of this upcoming year, Yep.
That whole week, we're going to be doing awareness efforts around human trafficking across the state. Actually, we have all 95 counties that are going to be participating in this effort. And if you're interested in participating and getting more information about it, you can reach out to Ashley N. Bridgman at tn.gov if you want to get involved with that effort.
Where do you get the red sand? I mean, can I get a baggie of red sand and pour it in a crack?
And we can order that for you.
That's what you're supposed to do. So I imagine during that week, people are going to be walking around and you're going to see sidewalks with the cracks with the red sand, and hopefully they'll know what that means as we get the word out.
Well, they may not know what it means, but the hope is people are going to be start asking the questions.
What is that all about?
Right, to bring awareness.
And is that the idea then, that these people kind of slip through the cracks? I was thinking that the folks who end up in some of these situations when they're taken in and forced to do these things, in some cases, maybe, at least in their mind initially, they think they're improving their situation from whatever they were living on the streets if they were. Is that how they're targeted then too? You say they're vulnerable, but I mean, if they were living on the streets or they're homeless and and then all of a sudden someone says, well, look, I can get you food, I've got a place for you to stay. They maybe think somehow, initially at least, that they're improving their lot.
Right, and I think that's part of the fraud, forced fraud or coercion into potentially a better life, or into a loving relationship, or you know.
Have you had a chance to talk or get to know some of these folks that have been rescued from this type of situation?
I have.
Talk about some of them. I mean, just as they recount to you what it was like for them. Is there one, you don't have to use their name, but that kind of stuck with you, and how her situation played out? Do you know how she was saved or he was saved?
Yeah, and in this particular one that I'm thinking of, she had tried to leave numerous times and constantly got drugged back. And
of course, she being used for sex trade or labor?
Trade.
Okay, and so what do you mean she tried? She said, I tried to get out, like what, just took off on foot and they tracked her down and grabbed her? Or?
Right.
That's terrifying.
And every time they would bring her back, they would break her down more and break her down further. And so it just became harder and harder to try and get out.
How old was she, do you?
I think she was a teenager when she got roped into it.
The average age is 13. Think about what a 13-year-old and how easily intimidated they could be. How did she finally get out, and what did she talk about it was like, and is she able to turn her life around? And
she has turned her life around. She actually has a doctoral degree now.
Wow.
And is doing obviously a lot of advocacy work around this issue. I think it's very hard, and that's another thing that we really try and focus on, is training people on trauma-informed care, how to work with these individuals and create trust, and you don't want to have them retell the story, because that's just re-traumatizing them through the whole issue. But to create that trust and establish that trust with them. And then for other individuals, for everybody that wants to learn more about this topic, it can go to thepolarisproject.com, also enslavery.com here in Tennessee. Those are two really great websites that I recommend people check out and get more information about this project.
Okay, but tell me, what information is there that they're going to find on there that we haven't talked about?
I think it's just the number, going and looking at the data, just really recognizing the truth of the matter and what's really going on.
Just how many people are, is the number you think would surprise most people? I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, are there hundreds in Tennessee, thousands in Tennessee in this? I know it's very hard to quantify.
Yeah, and I think it's hugely underreported, and I think the numbers I was looking at last night is around the 10,000 range for the United States. So it's not a huge number, but I think that's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, because that's what's been reported, right? And where are the parents in all this? If these are 13-year-olds, what's the story with the parents?
Who knows? Maybe they have their own drug addictions, their own issues, all, you know, things that we can try and prevent and try and move upstream to bring awareness about mental health issues, about ACEs, adverse childhood experiences that may even make people more susceptible and vulnerable to these situations.
Gosh. Let's go to William. William, good morning. Hi, William.
Morning.
Good morning. What's on your mind, sir?
Yes, I think all these human trafficking, homelessness, and drug trade, these are people that the government fail, because if you come out from jail and you don't have a place to live, you're going to find an easy way, you know, to get what you need. The same with these young little girl or little boy being used as a sex trade. They don't have a good family where they can eat and go to school. So it comes down to how a government is making for and rich is rich. So the community is being separated by what we need. And it comes down to the failure of government. So the fixing is government need to fix it, because you cannot fix yourself if you cannot get what you need.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, that can be part of it. I guess the root cause of why these teens or whatever we were talking about, where the parents, why they're at risk. And I guess that's a larger question of, you know, anyone that's susceptible to things, and is it because of socioeconomic reasons? I mean, the larger picture, would you say, though, predominantly those that end up in the slave trade or the human trafficking are ones that were at risk to begin with?
I would say yes.
Okay.
Not all of
because
them,
they're more
obviously.
easily targeted and persuaded for one reason or another. So I see his point to a degree there. I mean, why does anyone end up in a dire situation like that?
And I think, you know, it's people that easily fall between the cracks and aren't really recognized as missing.
You get the sense that the political will is there among, you know, legislators to address this issue in a stronger manner. I mean, I'm talking about tougher laws and things like that.
Yeah, and I'd say from my understanding, Tennessee has been a really proactive state in this effort, and really trying to take a proactive stance and try and prevent this from happening and from getting worse, and bringing awareness.
TBI, and when Margie Quinn was over the trafficking stuff, they really tried to get the word out, much like you are, and going after these people. And that's what the TBI does. They're the ones that will go, and because I was going to ask you, just in terms of rescue, what it finally comes down to is someone recognizing the red flags, making the call to the number, which we'll give out again, the hotline, and then getting the authorities onto a situation where then they have to move in and literally make an arrest and try to save these individuals from that situation. I don't know if they follow them, how they do it, you know, they set up a sting operation, whatever, to catch them that way and then pull them out. In which case, they're going to need a lot of counseling after. I can only imagine some 13-year-old that's been sold into sex slavery for a period of months or years, what they're like when they come out. Yeah.
They're obviously going to need a lot of support services, a lot of mental health services, and a lot of time to recover.
It's just terrifying. It's just. Let's go to Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning.
What's on your mind?
Well, I've been listening this morning, and there's one area that I felt like should be discussed, and that's also the court system. We have several court systems where a person, a family member, someone can go to and ask for help for their family member who they feel like is at risk or susceptible to this type of behavior or this type of lifestyle. But they have to listen. The system needs to be updated. They have currently situations where you can do a 6404, and that's where you can have someone sent to a mental health facility because they're having mental health problems. But that might not be the situation. These people put themselves at risk. There need to be other things that can be filed where if a mother or a father can go to the court system and say, hey, there's something going on here, something's not right, my family member is not behaving correctly, don't know where they are half the time, can't find them at night, they're hanging out with people who I don't know who these people are, and they're a little shady, what can I do? And so the court system has got to get updated as well.
Yeah.
Instead of people just going into general sessions court and then petty crimes, go 30 days in the jail, out you go. Well, a lot of times those people that are committing those petty crimes, they graduate up to bigger and better things, because these people that are targeting individuals who are susceptible to this type of lifestyle, well, they're like, well, they've already been to jail. Well, they're not afraid. Well, let's just go and get them to do something a little bigger and a little better.
Yeah, so what are you saying then, that you'd rather have, when that happens, someplace for them to be sent?
Well, no, I would like for the court system to acknowledge when a family member comes to them and says, hey, something is not right, something is wrong, we need help.
And then what kind of help would you want them to provide, the court, then, when that happens?
Well, in Florida, they have what they call the Baker Act, where if they feel like their family member is on drugs or not acting appropriately for whatever reason, they can sign a paper and the police will go pick them up and hold them for 72 hours and evaluate them to see what the problem is.
Yeah, and that's if it's a minor. Yeah, well, listen, what we'll do is take a break and we can comment on that. It's interesting she says that, just how to go about doing that in the Baker Act, and whether or not the courts here can do more. You know, if you have a parent that fortunately maybe is engaged enough to notice them, then you're already one step ahead, because it seems like many of these people don't have much of a family structure when they're sucked into this kind of lifestyle. Well, listen, we'll take a break. Come back, we'll comment on that. That's some good points, Teresa. We've got the lines open if you want to jump in. Our final segment with our guest right after this.